Hi everybody, my name is Misty Cogdill and I am the owner of Handwriting-Soul Academy, where your handwriting is a graphic representation of your thought patterns, and it is a map on paper that tells me how you think. So my show, this is my first time going live here on Awoken. I'm super excited and honored for this opportunity. Awoken is an amazing TV series that is about to go national, so we're super excited about that. And I just wanted to say hello to everybody and introduce myself, that the show is going to be all about handwriting as well as conscious conversations. So I look forward to sharing about the many benefits. Again, my name is Misty Cogdill, and I just became a #1 best-selling author in 6 categories on Amazon. And we're giving away a free copy of my book. Today is the last day for that free copy. So the title of the book is You Can Heal Your Life with Handwriting by Misty Cogdill. So you can definitely check it out and download it. That will be your free copy to introduce you to a lot of what I know about handwriting. I have been studying handwriting for almost a decade now at the International Institute of Handwriting Studies. So I'm very well educated in it and have been fascinated by it for a long time. I'll share my story here in a little bit. But I wanted to also let you know that there's going to be a free gift for you at the end of my TV show here. So definitely stay tuned, and I'll be sharing that gift with you at the end. Why is handwriting important? I wanted to share the many benefits of why handwriting is important. It can clear blocks in your life. It can heal your life in many ways. It can heal relationships. It can save marriages. It can heal your financial situations. It can give you a better self-image of yourself, better health, deeper connections to life, uplifts people with depression, can help prevent suicide, and then can help with drug addictions. But again, people have to be hungry for this. There's so much that I can share with you that I could talk for hours and hours, but just to keep it simple and to try to educate you in the best way possible, your handwriting is a map on paper for me. So our handwriting, the reason why our handwriting shows up the way it does on the piece of paper is based on how the neurological patterns in your brain are wired. And you can actually shift those neurological patterns in your brain by starting to write in a specific way. And that's kind of what I teach in my program. So my website is handwriting-soulacademy.com, where I've got all of my information and my programs, as well as appointment links to reach out to me. But my mission is to help many, many people to clear generational blocks that they have taken on in their life that maybe don't support them, and to be able to live a life by their own design. So our handwriting is going to show all of that. I'm going to share my story of what I did with taking on my grandma's patterns. I'll share that a little bit later on. But I just want to recommend and encourage everybody to journal every day. It's basically like going to the gym for your brain. You know, you go to the gym to exercise your body. So I recommend that you go to have a pen and paper and journal to exercise your brain. That's the #1 tip that I recommend to everybody. It's like, hey, it's an exercise for you daily. So how it works, I created this little story to kind of explain what the big benefits can be. So I want everybody to imagine a little girl in 3rd grade, and she is asked from her teacher to draw a pine tree, and she draws an elm tree. And then the teacher comes over. The teacher didn't do anything wrong, but says, hey, you drew the wrong one. Not anything intentional, but then the girl, without voicing this, thinks inside her mindset, I can't draw. Well, that becomes a limit in her thinking, and then it shows up in her handwriting the next day. Now, she's little, so obviously we're very open-minded when we're children. We're very easily able to take things on and change our mindset pretty easily as children. So anyways, fast forward 30 years. She never gets that block removed, and she's destined to be a great artist like Leonardo da Vinci or Michelangelo or whatever amazing great artist is out there. That's what her destiny is supposed to be. But she thinks she can't draw because that block showed up in her handwriting. all that block was on her handwriting was a block within her mindset. So then fast forward 30 years, she meets somebody like me, and I'm able to see it in her handwriting, and then I'm able to point it out and say, hey, this does not serve you to your highest and best. So from there, then I work with her on how to write differently in a specific way. And then it typically takes 3 months for the neurological patterns in your brain to shift. But once the brain shifts and the neurological patterns are wired in the best, most beneficial way for her, as I guide and coach her for the 3 months, then she starts to find interest in drawing and being an amazing artist again. Fast forward, 5 years of writing, and she is already a amazing, fabulous artist, and then she gets to fulfill her mission on the planet, which is what she was meant to be from the beginning. But we all have roadblocks. We all have things that we've had to overcome. Handwriting is a slice of the pie. It's not the whole pie, but it's a very important slice. And obviously I say it's my favorite slice. But I love to share that story because it's an analogy that works for people to understand exactly what's happening, because everybody has a different story. And I don't know what your story is from childhood, but I'm definitely able to see where you're not supporting yourself in your handwriting, because it's a map on paper for me. So then I just wanted to kind of fast forward here and then share with you about the schools. The way we were taught in grade school was not the most beneficial way to write. The way we were taught was very limiting, and 80% of the way that the letters are that are taught in either kindergarten or first grade are not the most beneficial way to write. So it is very limiting. And then what happens is we grow up and it becomes harder to fulfill on things in life. So the analogy I always like to give is if you're going upstream in a current, or in like a river, if you're going upstream and you're in a canoe, obviously it's very hard. But if you turn around and you go downstream, it's very easy. So the handwriting that's an analogy that I give, is when you're writing with limiting patterns or limiting handwriting, it's like going upstream, and obviously it's very hard. Obviously it's doable, but it's a lot harder. Whereas if you start writing in a different way, and then obviously it's like going downhill in the stream, you kind of can just move through life a lot easier. Also, it's going to help you change your attitude. So obviously all of us have attitudes. We've all had to come over or outgrow certain things, as we were raised and as we grew up into adulthood. Our attitude is reflected in our handwriting patterns. So, you might have written like your friends did in grade school. You may have had a friend and you're like, hey, I like the way she writes this certain letter. And then you started writing it like that. Well, then your self-image changed. And what happens is when you hang around certain people, when you're a child and you're a lot more easily adaptable, you begin to change and adjust your handwriting, or it will show up in your handwriting, but you adjust your self-image. A lot of different things change, obviously, as we all grow up, but it's just a guide. And then every certain letter of the alphabet has a certain pattern and energy with it. I could go into all 26 letters, but I save that for my program because there's a lot of information. I could talk for hours about one letter. Never in my wildest dreams would I have ever thought that was possible years ago, but it's definitely, the more I learn, the more I know, the more I get to share. So, and then what does your name mean? A lot of people, obviously, the second we're born, what happens? We're given a name. So your name is like a pattern. The first letter of your first name is your biggest challenge in life, because that's what we take on from our parents. And then the first letter of your last name is your life path. So the moment we're born, we're given a name, and then that name carries a specific energy and patterns with it. And then we begin to work with those energy and patterns as we grow up, and then obviously move into adulthood. And writing it in the most beneficial way is going to help you and support you with your biggest challenges. And the first letter of your first name, I can go into all the science of it, but again, I save that a lot for my program. But your first letter of your first name is your biggest challenge. That's the way that you're thinking, and that's what we took on from our parents. So our biggest challenge, once we overcome it, it becomes our greatest gift for humanity and how we're supposed to serve in the world, or what our gifts are and what we're meant to bring to the world while we're here. So And then I like to share about my my generational patterns that I took on. So my story is a little bit about with my grandma Betty. My grandma was born a girl, and she was supposed to be born a boy, or they wanted a boy, but she came out a girl, and she couldn't help out on the family farm. So she was actually abused and had a lot of trauma as a child, and what she took on as she grew up and as an adult, her handwriting looked a certain way, and I could actually see the abuse, not necessarily knowing that it was abuse, but I did because she was my grandma. But I could see it in her handwriting based on how she was writing. Well, I, as her granddaughter, I was around her a lot as a child, and I took on the way that she wrote. I wrote similar to her, and the example that I like to share is the letter T. So she had loops in her T's with the name Betty. Instead of it being a nice T all the way up and down, it was a big old loop. So she did 2 loops in her T's and then did the crossbar. That was a self-sabotage and a very limiting, hurtful pattern that was actually attracting negativity and negative energy to her. But all it was a reflection of what she took on from her childhood. And as she took it on from her childhood, it showed up. And because of the negative experience that she received, it was a map on paper. So she wrote in a certain way because of the negativity that happened to her. That's what showed up on paper. So then fast forward, she continued to write that way her whole life. She's now in her 80s, so and going blind, so I haven't worked with her as much on her handwriting, but I was able to observe and gather a lot of information and put puzzle pieces together. Obviously, I've been doing this for almost a decade now, so I'm able to share with a lot of people and help people to work through stuff. But with my grandma, I then, as her granddaughter, and this is why this is so important for you, I, as her granddaughter, took on her thought patterns, but I didn't experience the abuse that she did. But just being around her, I started to pick up how she thought, and then I started to write loops in my T's with the crossbar, which then attracted hurtful, negative experiences to myself in my younger adult years. And you ever walk around and you're like, man, why me? Well, it was me. It was in my handwriting, and it was what I took on, and I was able to clear that when I changed the way that I wrote my letter T and no longer attracted those hurtful, negative experiences to me. So it's very, very important. I always recommend cross your T's on top. It's actually my favorite letter. No, we probably shouldn't have favorites, but the letter T is my favorite letter in the alphabet. So you want to don't have loops in your T's, draw them all the way straight up, and then always cross them on top. I don't care whether they're in the middle of a word or at the beginning of a word or at the end of a word. Always cross them on top. I don't care what the rules are. We're breaking rules, and I'm telling you what's the most beneficial way to do it. So start that today immediately. I highly recommend it. And then, yeah, so I changed my handwriting. That changed the way that things showed up for me energetically. I was no longer attracting those things to me. So I was able to clear the generational pattern that I took on from my past and was able to move into a life by my own design. So that's why this is so important for you, because I don't know what your story is, but I can support you with, things that maybe don't serve you to your highest and best. So my story is that my mom wanted to change her handwriting my entire life. She wanted to change it since before I was born. So I always say, well, I came in as her teacher. But that's just a little joke that we say now. But so she wanted to clear her, change her handwriting like her whole life or my whole life. And I always thought it was dumb. I was like, why? Like, who cares? Like, it's handwriting. Like, it's no big deal. I didn't know then, obviously, what I know now. And life gave me some experiences to show me otherwise. I got married at the age of 22 and changed my last name from Cogdill to Cook. Now, as a Cogdill, I was born an only child. I am an only child, and my mom was a single parent. So we, I spent a lot of time because she had to work 2 jobs, and so I spent a lot of time entertaining myself. And I got to know myself really, really well. Now, obviously, as an only child who has to entertain herself quite a bit, you get to know yourself on a certain level that maybe other people don't. So I was very bubbly. I was very happy. I was very extrovert. I loved people. I loved connecting. I could talk all day long. My babysitter when I was younger used to always say, telephone, telegraph, or tell Misty. If Misty knows about it, everybody's going to know about it. And so we always joke about that it's like, yeah, I love to connect with people. I love to talk and share. Obviously, I've learned the value of what to share, and I like to teach a lot now. And obviously, as a child, it was probably more gossip, but I've learned and grown, and I know how to keep secrets and honor my word and all of that good stuff. But your gifts show up in your handwriting when between, or not necessarily in handwriting, but just in general, between the ages of 4, 5, and 6 years old. So your gifts show up. Now, I had a mentor ask me, what did you love to do when you were a child? And that's when I realized, well, I love to talk and I love to connect with people. So talking is my gift. And sharing things with as many people as possible, which is obviously what I'm doing now, is part of my gift. That is what I was born to do. A lot of people, their gifts show up between the ages of 4, 5, and 6 years old. And then it's meant to kind of share with you. You're meant to then take that out into the world. But if you get blocked or you get stopped or stuck or something happens or somebody tells you did something wrong and then you get emotions involved, you can maybe not fulfill on your highest purpose and your truest expression of who you are. So long story short, your handwriting and your gifts show up between 4, 5, and 6 years old that are going to support you for the rest of your life. If you don't know what your gifts are, ask your parents, and then ask them, hey, what did I like to do when I was little that I loved more than anything? And then typically it can show up. So for me, when I asked my mom, she said, well, I don't know, but you sure did like to talk. And then that's how I figured it out. And she's like, don't you remember what your babysitter said? So then I was like, oh yeah. So then obviously I was able to fulfill on that and continue to develop and grow in that way. But fast forward, I got, that's who I was in the past. So when I got married at age 22, I went from Misty Cogdill to Misty Cook, and it took about a year for me to recognize that I was different. And I didn't know why. A lot of people asked me, they're like, Misty, you sure are different. And they're like, what's going on? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I am different. I'm like, what happened? How did I change? Why did I change? What happened to make me change? And I didn't have answers for people, but all of my high school friends, my family, everybody was like, you're different. And I'm like, is this what marriage does to you? Is it changes you? I'm like, I didn't sign up for this part. I'm like, I missed my bubbly personality. And I was kind of going more introvert, and I was kind of starting to analyze everything, and I was kind of getting more stuck in my head and withdrawing from people, and I was a lot more sensitive, and I was like, what happened? Somewhere in life I made a right turn and I should have made a left turn, and I don't know why. So I was left in the dark for 6 years trying to figure it out, and nobody had any answers for me. I had asked everybody, I had read books, and I was like, nobody has any answers other than, hey, life happens. You just change. And I did not accept that answer. I was like, no, I want answers. I'm going to find them, and I'm not going to quit until I figure it out. So fast forward, it didn't work out. He was a great guy. It just didn't work out. We got divorced. I got my maiden name back, and I got my old personality back. But again, it's like a slow leak in a bag. It just drip, drip, drip. And it takes about a year when you don't know what's going on and you're not writing every single day and you're just bumbling along through life. You don't necessarily know unless somebody's educating you, saying, hey, this is the way this goes. This is what's going to happen. This is the science. I mean, there's a lot of science that backs this up as well. But nobody told me. I had to figure this out on my own. That's why I'm so passionate about sharing it with people. I'm like, hey, does everybody know this? We need to tell everybody. So that's why I'm so excited to share it with you, because I was left in the dark for so long. But yeah, so I changed my name back and I got my old personality back. But again, it was like a slow change. That's why people don't recognize it right away. It's not like a bam, I changed my name and the next day, whoom, I'm a different person. It doesn't work like that. It's slowly over time. I was writing a new last name. Therefore, it shifted the neurological patterns in my brain, which shifted my attitude, which caused me to think different, which caused me to experience life differently. So I've been very passionate about studying it for the last decade almost, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. I'm like, wow, this goes with this, and when, and how does this work? And just understanding it. I was just fascinated by it, and I never knew if it was going to take me anywhere or whatnot, but I just loved it. I couldn't get enough of it. So that's kind of my story. And I've been sharing the many benefits of handwriting ever since. I was actually in real estate, new construction, and worked for Pulte Homes in Minnesota for several years, and then worked at Mattamy Homes, but I was in real estate for 8 years. So I've got many stories with many clients. Every time clients were signing their purchase agreements, I was always analyzing their signature and being like, hey, that doesn't support you. Write it like this instead. So it was always a lot of fun and always had great conversations. But kind of to talk about handwriting, when you're shifting your handwriting, all of your entire past, you've got emotional, I'm going to use the word baggage. Maybe that's not the best word to use, but you've got emotional stuff that's happened from your past. And if you haven't gone through all of your emotions, a lot of times people can stuff them and stick them in places within your mindset. You're like, I don't want to deal with that. I know for me, like sometimes I would run from my feelings. I'm like, I don't want to go through that. That's going to be painful, right? So there, people avoid, and all kinds of different things happen, right? We have emotional blockages that hold us back and keep us stuck. When you start to write in a new way, it actually shifts the neurological patterns in your brain, which actually all of a sudden what you have holding and stopping your emotions right now, when you shift, all of those emotions no longer have something that's holding them back, and then you might experience all of those emotions that you've stuffed come up to the surface, and then you've got to deal with them. So that's part of why I recommend changing your handwriting with a coach, or changing it with me, because I can support you, because I can see what's happening. I can talk you through it. I can walk you through it. I've got certain recommendations that I give to people on how that all happens and why that all happens and how to support you best as that kind of unfolds. Because I don't know what's in people's past. Like I can't tell you, hey, you know, I've worked with people that have, you know, had sexual trauma from childhood. I've worked with people who, you know, have been divorced. I've worked with people who were abused. I've worked with people, I mean, you name it. Everybody's got their story in the past. I'm just here to support you and to help you with your handwriting to kind of make you feel more peace. One of the questions that I've got here is, do I have to get divorced and change my last name? No, you don't. I was going to get into that, but I'm going to say it right now because I think that there might have been a question somewhere. Sorry, I'll try to answer questions more at the end, but I do want to answer this one right now. I don't recommend anyone get divorced. Like there's ways that you can go around this, and you can start journaling your maiden name. Obviously you can pick up a pen and paper every morning before you get out of bed, because that's what I do, and I journal 4 pages a day. So if you journal your maiden name, you know, write your full name with your maiden name and then hyphenate with your married name, you can definitely bring that energy back in. Some people don't like their maiden name. Some people do. I've talked with women who have completely skyrocketed, and they absolutely have an amazing life with this new last name because that's what works well for them. Everybody's different, so there is no cookie cutter way to kind of predict this, but I've met women who changed their last name and all of a sudden they skyrocket to the top. Life got really good. Life is amazing and awesome, and they're just riding the wave of life, and they don't know why. Life just got really, really good for them, and they just continue to enjoy it. But then there's other women that go, we're going to say some last name that doesn't serve them, or an energy that they don't like. One that maybe they're experiencing, and then they're like, hey, this doesn't fit with the way I like to express, right? Because we all have a right to have our own self-expression. And my self-expression wasn't, I like the self-expression from Cogdill the best. So I will forever have that last name, and I will hyphenate. When I get married again, I will hyphenate the guy's last name at that point in time. So anyways, where was I here? So emotional blockages. So yeah, just journal your name. Emotional blockages, when you clear those, you can keep, emotions are going to come up. You're going to have to solve them, work through them. I'm here to guide you. I know exactly what's going on. most of the time I'm able to see it and give you tips on how to support you with it. That's why I recommend coaching. Some people are like, well, handwriting should be easy. No, there's a lot of science and psychology that goes into this. So again, that's why I recommend having a coach. Otherwise, I would just be like, yeah, everybody do this. Well, that could cause a lot of trauma for some people. And I want to be responsible and respectful to you and your experience and your journey. So that's why I have things in a certain way. And why I recommend having somebody there to support you, because we're not meant to do everything by ourselves, right? Everybody's designed to work together as a team, and I'm here as a team member for you to support you with your greatness. Steve Jobs was the gentleman who studied handwriting. You can actually look him up online if you go on YouTube and type in Stanford University. He gave a talk in 2005 to Stanford University. And he talked all about the benefits of handwriting and how he became fascinated with it as well, and what he did with it to advance his life and his career. Obviously, what he did on the planet was, we're talking on this computer right now, and I'm able to communicate with you right now because of him. He was able to maximize his gifts, step into his full potential, and then share it with the world. Now, some people might like him, some people might not, but hey, we're all using computers and cell phones today, so I'm grateful for that part of what he brought us. But yeah, so it's Hollywood's best kept secret. I know a lot of people from Hollywood that were able to change their handwriting, and this is something that only the wealthy maybe knew about, or certain people would know about, but I'm here to share it with as many people that are willing to listen as possible. Because I've studied it for so long and I know it in depth and detail. Now, you upgrade your mindset all the time. You upgrade your phone, you upgrade your phone, you upgrade your computer, you upgrade your cars, so why not upgrade your mindset, right? When you upgrade your mindset, you get a better quality of life. You get a better experience of life. And there's a lot of science and that goes into this, and I can go into all that detail as well. That's kind of what this show is going to be about. So I can definitely share with you. But all of the great thought leaders that ever walked our planet, like the Mother Teresa, Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Nikola Tesla, Abraham Lincoln, Albert Einstein, like the list is endless, right? There's like all these amazing, amazing leaders, and they all agreed that we become what we think about. So if we become what we think about, then isn't it vitally important that you write in the most beneficial way, because your handwriting reflects your thinking? So if you want to start to think properly and start thinking like the wise ones, then there's a certain way to write it. I've studied, again, with the International Institute of Handwriting Studies, and there was a study done that was the most beneficial way to write each letter. And as that study was done, it took 26 years to do the study. And then we coach with people and teach them how to work with their emotions and start to shift everything. And as you begin to shift and change, your handwriting is going to change. And we're going to work with it until it gets in a certain way. But it typically takes about 3 months for the neurological patterns in your brain to shift. So if all the great thought leaders said we become what we think about, then it's vitally important to make sure that you're writing in the most beneficial way. So that's kind of the main message that I want to share there, because it's critical. It's a slice of the pie. It's not the whole pie, like I've said before, but it's so important. I've completely changed my life. I've completely upgraded. I've completely experienced life in a different way because of changing the handwriting, as well as I'm doing many other things with learning and growing. And every time, a new day, it's like, here we grow, because I'm constantly growing because of it. So I absolutely love everything. And I love to share it with people. I have some testimonials that I would love to go into detail, but I'll just give you kind of a couple of blurps about them. I had a client that was trying to sell her house for 5 years, and she was constantly getting in her way. Something would happen, maybe the basement would flood, and then she'd have to take her house off the market, or something would come up where something would break down, and then she'd have to take her house off the market again. For 5 years this went on, and then I met her and I was like, let me see your signature. So she shows me her signature, and then I said, well, you have a huge self-sabotage in your signature, and this is what's holding you back. And I said, why don't you change your handwriting? And then she's like, I don't know about this. And then I'm like, well, fine. I said, go ahead and try it, and let me know. Well, within 3 months, she sold her house, and she's like, okay, I believe this stuff works. And I said, well, it's not about this stuff working. It's science. There is a lot of science and studies that have gone into this. So I know what I know. People are either open to it or they're not, and you're definitely going to learn a lot if you're open to it. But yeah, so she sold her house. I was super excited for her. She was super happy. I had another client who increased his income. He was earning $8 million a year, and he went and within changing his handwriting within 3 months, he skyrocketed to $12 million in revenue. So that was just 3 months time. And he was in the financial world, so he was beyond excited. He was like, this is awesome. And for him, the only thing that he did different was change his handwriting, because he really wanted to experience the results of it. And he's now obviously a huge advocate of this work, so I'm super happy about that. And then I had another client who had a lot of childhood trauma, and she was able to clear all of that trauma, and it was like a giant weight was lifted off of her. And as that weight was lifted off, she got to move into inner peace. And that for her was beyond priceless. There, you cannot put a dollar on having inner peace from what she was carrying around as baggage inside and not knowing how to release it. So for me, that's why this job is so important, is because I love to help heal people. That's why my book is called You Can Heal Your Life with Handwriting. And is available now on Amazon for free today. I'm going to put that out there so everybody can download it. And then I have another client who left her job of 40 years and started her own business because it's what she'd always wanted to do. She was just afraid. She didn't know. She had a bunch of blocks, and then we just basically shifted her handwriting. Within 3 months, it opened all the doors, and she moved into it. So it was super exciting. I had another client that lost weight. She'd been trying to lose weight for years, and then shifted her handwriting. She started to shift how she was doing things, and was able to see things differently, and was able to lose 20 pounds in 3 months. She was super excited. Then I have another client who found love. He was single his whole adult life till he was 47. I saw the blocks in his handwriting. He shifted it, moved into his authentic self, and got to find love within a year, and has been happy with his partner for over 7 years now. So this work, I continue to watch what some people may call miracles in their life, but I continue to watch things unfold. I always say that I'm like a kid on Christmas morning. I'm like, oh, what's going to open up for you when your handwriting changes? Because I don't know necessarily what's going to open up, but I'm always super, super excited because I know something, somehow, some way is going to open up. I can see their blocks. I can say, okay, you need to change this, this, and this. And this is going to support your greatness. And I always tell all my clients I'm committed to their greatness, and things, obviously moving in the most beneficial direction. And then things open up, and it's always so exciting. And I, like with my one client whose income, improved by 300%, I was like, I had no idea that was going to happen. That's why it's always so exciting for me when I get clients, because I'm like, ooh, this is exciting. Like, what's gonna open up? And sometimes it's just inner peace. Sometimes it's, but what is that worth to you? What is having a better experience of life, having better connections, having better relationships, having better health and finance? You can't put a price tag on your health, right? Having inner peace, having a higher self-esteem and a better self-image. I'm sorry, but there is no price tag in the world on some of this stuff, and that's why I love sharing it with people. And then I always like to say that handwriting is as detailed as golfing. You can shift your golf swing just a little bit, and it makes a world of difference where the ball lands. But you can also shift your handwriting just a little bit, and it makes a world of difference in your thinking, which shapes your life, which is going to have your life land differently. If you take your life all the way to the end and you're sitting on your deathbed, obviously you're going to look back, and do you want to have a life of possible regrets? Or do you want to have a life saying, hey, I lived that ride to my fullest, and I lived it full out, and I did everything I could. It was an amazing ride, and I'm so proud. Do you want to look back and know that you gave it your all? Or do you want to look back with the pain of regret? Not saying that handwriting is the tool to that, but I'm just bringing awareness to you to say this is one tool. You know, it's no different than a hammer to a nail. If everybody was to put a nail in the wall and all you ever had was a screwdriver, and somebody else came along and said, hey, here's a hammer, and you didn't know what a hammer was, and you say, hey, this hammer works a lot better at putting that nail in the wall than a screwdriver, all of a sudden you're going to be like, man, this is awesome. I'm so glad I found that hammer. You know, obviously that's what handwriting is it's a tool for you in your toolbox of life. And that's a great analogy that I like to share. Next I want to talk about is writing in all capital letters. That is not recommended at all. A lot of military men and women have to write in all capital letters, which is good for them because they have to go overseas and possibly kill somebody. So obviously you want to have yourself as protected and disconnected from your heart as possible when you have to do something like that, because that's your job, right? So nothing bad or good about that or for them. It's just a matter of that's their job. That's what they signed up for. That's what they're, you know, that's the way it is, right? So with that, I just always say when you come back from maybe being overseas, then obviously PTSD can stay stuck. And that's why I recommend them not write in capital letters, because it can help the PTSD to be released. I'm actually working with a group in Florida right now of veterans that I'm going to be visiting in November with shifting their handwriting so that PTSD does not stay stuck. So if you have any military friends and family or anybody that you know that writes in all capital letters, it has you disconnect more from your heart, and it has you keep people at arm's length. And as it keeps people from arm's length, it's not something that is going to be beneficial for the relationships. You know, I worked with a gentleman who was writing in all capital letters, and he was excited to see what would open up. And he says, oh, my relationships are fine. I said, okay. I said, that's fine. I said, why don't you change your handwriting? We went through the whole program, and then he said, wow, he goes, my 3-year-old son is so different towards me now. And I said, really? How so? And he says, well, he was always just, you know, there, but not very cuddly. He was never really cuddly with me. And now he just completely shifted, and he's very cuddly. And he's just, it's like his love opened up for his dad. So again, that it's not maybe you, but it's maybe how people show up for you that can change. And then his relationship with his wife completely bloomed. He thought it was great before, and he goes, I didn't know things could be this good, you know? So I was like, good, then he was a great testimonial. So people may say whatever they say, but I will always say, well, your handwriting does not lie to me. So not that they are lying, but I can always see what, you know, where certain blocks are, and love to see, you know, things change. So I just got a question. Why does your handwriting change? Your handwriting changes because, well, I have you do it on a conscious level, and then you actually start to fight with your subconscious, because your subconscious is going to say, hey, we don't write like that. What are you doing? You know, like, I'm the one that runs the show, and I'm on a conscious level telling you, no, you need to do it in this way. And then I support you and coach you through, you know, the different emotions and changes that are taking place. But your handwriting changes because, you know, if you had an emotional impact, if something dramatic happened, it may have caused your handwriting to change. So there's lots of reasons why your handwriting would change, whether it's, you know, from a baby being born, or getting married, or getting divorced, or, you know, whatever big event may have happened in your life, it can cause the neurological patterns to shift. And a lot of it is with emotions. So when you get attached and connected to your emotions can show up in a certain way. If I had somebody write me a letter about their mom versus their, you know, maybe coworker, it's going to show up differently because your emotions are attached to your handwriting. So that's why this can't be cookie cutter. Like, I have to work with people individually and see what's there and see what opens up for them. But yeah, that's kind of why your handwriting changes. And then, so now I want to give everybody the free gift. If you text the word gift, so GIFT, text the word gift to 951 521-3398. And then you're going to receive a free PDF version. It's a 5-page document that goes over how to be an innovator, bringing in more prosperity, and how to have inner peace. So it's a gift for you for watching this. I'm super excited to share that with everybody. I do have webinars that I do as well. You can find my website. You can find a lot of information on my website. It's www.handwriting-soul-academy.com. Again, it's www.handwriting-soul, soul is in S-O-U-L, handwriting-soul-academy.com. You can also email me at misty@handwriting-soul-academy.com as well. And then for every program that is purchased, we donate 10% to a charity. I actually am donating right now currently to a charity from a friend of mine that was in high school. Her son actually passed away. His name was Dominic Walter, and he had passed away at age 4. And they're building a park in memory of him. So we donate 10% from every program purchased to that memorial fund, as well as we're in the middle of building a charity to donate for everybody that purchases one of my programs. We're going to donate a handwriting program to a child. We're going to start working with schools. I actually have a meeting with the principal soon that I'm going to be on tour with, that I want to talk to, and kind of talk with the different principals and be like, how can I get this into the school systems? Children do not have blocks like us adults do. They don't have, you know, they're brand new. I mean, obviously they're 5, so they're not brand new, but they're young. They are very open-minded, and if we can teach this to children at a very young age, they won't grow up and have certain blocks in their thinking, you know, the bullying that takes place, the children wanting to commit suicide, you know, the different, the drug addictions that are out there. Like literally the handwriting pattern and program that I have that can map things out, it can make a world of difference for the children. The children are our future, so we got to teach them well and let them lead the way. Obviously, that is my biggest commitment. That's my ultimate goal. That's where I see this in the long run. So I just wanted to share that with you. We are creating that. That is going to be the foundation of my business, is really getting this out there to the children and helping to heal all of the adults. Everybody that I work with, their life gets touched, moved, and inspired, and they get to live a better quality of life. I had a gentleman the other day who just gave me a testimonial, and he said, I used to feel like the weight of the world was on my shoulders, and now I don't. And when he said that, it just warmed my heart, because I was like, he gets to experience life for the rest of his life without feeling like he's got the weight of the world on his shoulders. And you can't put a price tag on that. You cannot put a price tag on that. So I love sharing that. If you want to learn more, definitely reach out to me. Again, my email is misty@handwriting-soul-academy.com, or you can go on my website and book an appointment. But going forward, these lives, you can find me every Friday on Awoken at 2 p.m. Central Time. And I'm so excited to start sharing this. So I'm going to bring my clients in, clients that have already been in the program. I'm going to be interviewing them. I've got a group of ladies that I'm working with, we're going to have conscious conversations, I think like once a month. And with those conscious conversations, we are going to show you what a group of women who get together, who don't gossip, but actually create and co-create and consciously create. These women are amazing. I can't wait to share all about them with you and show you what conscious conversations are all about and how things can get created and what can be created from it. So super excited to share with them. They all have healing gifts as well. So love that idea. And now I want to go through and answer any questions. So are there any questions that you can see?
Is it better to print or do cursive?
Is it better to print or do cursive? That was one of the questions that came up. I always recommend cursive, but I want to be careful when I say that, because the way that we were taught cursive in grade school is not beneficial. That's the one where I said it's 80% limiting. So the kind of cursive that we were taught in in kindergarten and first grade is the kind that limits everybody. So my one client, he's like, well, this is how I was taught in school. And he did cursive. And I said, yeah, but this, you know, and I highlighted every single letter that did not support him or his greatness. So I'm very careful when I say that, and you never want to connect more than 5 letters. So there's a whole strategy to it, and I go over all of that in my program. So it's just definitely be aware of that, and hopefully that answers that question. Do you have any other questions?
Can you see the free gift again?
So the free gift, you can text the word gift to 951-521-3398 to receive your free gift. And then as well as download my book on Amazon. Go on Amazon. It's You Can Heal Your Life with Handwriting. Just became an Amazon #1 bestseller in 6 categories. We were beyond ecstatic and excited for that. So I definitely am sharing it with everybody and wanting to help heal the world. I want to help heal as many lives as possible, and by writing a book, it gets out there to more people. As well as doing these lives and being on the TV show Awoken, it's such a great opportunity to heal more lives and to make a bigger impact in the world. So that's what I'm committed to. That's what what I've decided to do for the rest of my life, is to heal as many lives as possible. I'm looking forward to, so if you know anybody that you want to share this with, definitely download my book and share it with as many people as possible, because you never know how that might change your life. So are there any other questions? No? Okay, well, I guess we will wrap it up then. I just wanted to say thank you for watching, and definitely tune in to Awoken. I've got to definitely add everybody that I know, and look forward to the many benefits over the long term of this and what that's going to look like. I'm super excited. And if you guys have any questions, reach out. Thank you so much for watching. Hope it made a difference for you. Reach out with any questions, and look forward to seeing you next Friday at 2 o'clock Central Time, which is 1 o'clock Mountain Time, 12 o'clock Pacific Time, and 3 o'clock Eastern Time. So have a great day, everybody. I love you. Mwah.